And actually, I think Anna's going to have some great insight. So let's go ahead and get her on here. There she is. Hello.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Great. I love your hair.
Oh,
it is so good.
It's out of control. I went platinum for the holidays, and now it's just going,
I love it.
Embracing my flair.
Do it. Just embrace it. I love it. And you have been on screen so much lately. You are everywhere.
My eyes don't work anymore. I woke up when I turned 46 last week, and I literally have been making fun of my husband, and he's like, here you go. And now I can't see the comments or anything without wearing these. So
I know. I'm right there with you. I've been doing that myself, and I'm like, I can't even see. Like, I just, my eyes are so big.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Now everybody's got their
glasses on.
Yeah.
We all have our glasses.
It's
and Emily, I loved her glasses too. Like, just side note, they were super colorful. So Anna, I mean, one of the most amazing things about you is to me is your backstory and kind of how you became the career BFF, right? So let's start with that. Let's start with your amazing story.
I mean, I don't even know if you know this or if I've told you the whole story, but I mean, I feel like being the career BFF started with getting sober from alcohol and building community in Alcoholics Anonymous and sticking with the winners and witnessing women that were laughing and showing up as their best self and were leaders and entrepreneurs, and they were still like living their best life. And it gave me so much hope that I could live the same life without alcohol and drugs. And so in May, I'll celebrate 10 years, which is crazy to think about.
Congratulations.
Coming up really fast. And, through that process, it's all about kind of peeling back those layers, right? And doing that inner work, addressing your character defects, taking your inventory, asking for help, right? And accepting that, you have a problem, and alcoholism is an ism, not a wasm. And it's a disease that we have to keep in check. And that ties into mental health and all areas of our lives, from being parents, employees, spouses. And so through that work, then I continued to evolve in my yoga practice and other spiritual practices. I went to Costa Rica and went on this women's retreat. And that's where I had the quiet time to really get in touch with my heart's desire. And that's how Career BFF was born. And now I just am having the time of my life, showing up just unapologetically and serving job seekers and career changers in the ways that I do. And so much of a lot of the conversations that I have are around your mental health, right? Like I did several series about how do you avoid job search fatigue. And a lot of my questioning with my clients is what are you doing to take care of yourself? And I think during the pandemic, we have seen massive rises in suicide and addiction and other mental health problems. And it's really about asking for help and trying to find those resources to get the help that you need. And
100%.
I know personally, I've slacked on my meetings because they've been mostly virtual versus in person, and I'm a very in-person person. So
right. Yeah, 100%. I think that first of all, this ties into what we talked with Scott Frieda about at the beginning. So he hopped on. He has a TikTok thing that he does about recovery, which is
nice.
Amazing.
I need to follow him.
You should. And he's an entrepreneur. He's actually one of my very first clients for Titan. So we've worked together for forever. He's actually joining the Titan team now, which is interesting and a lot of fun. And I think that, and people, again, I want to specify, because people hear recovery and they only think alcohol and drugs, but it could be from anything. It could be overeating, overworking.
Isms don't discriminate. It could be food. It could be sex. It could be shopping. It could be gambling. It could be obsessively just doing anything, right? It's
including working. That's an addiction. It's not okay.
Addiction is so, it is absolutely one of the things that I was actually reading a little bit about that, because now that we're home, especially entrepreneurs, I've been guilty of it. You and I think we're corresponding on LinkedIn at like between 1 and 3 in the morning, which is not healthy.
We are not exhibiting good mental health practices right now.
Well, but it's because you can get in that like rabbit hole and your sleep patterns, to Emily's point just a second ago. And, I do have the awareness now that I'm like, okay, like once in a blue moon, it's okay to have a late night, but I cannot make a habit of this because it's a mechanism that we're looking to fill a void of something that we don't either want to look at or we don't want to face. And a lot of that comes from fear, but that's why it's so important. And one of the things that I was so blessed to learn, that even when that phone feels like 1,000,000 pounds, still pick it up, because if you're the person receiving that phone call, you are delighted to hold space for whatever is on the other side of that.
That was
I love the
really
phrase holding space. That is something I use very often with clients, with myself, and sometimes with friends, though, that can be.
Can you elaborate on that, Michaela, on what that means for viewers who may not quite know the term?
Well, Anna, you're the one who mentioned holding space, and so I first want to offer this, being able to define it to you, since you're the one who first mentioned it.
I mean, my idea of holding space is just being fully present and taking the cotton out of our ears and putting it in our mouth and just listening, right? And a lot of times when someone picks up the phone and just needs to talk, they just need to talk. They just need to know that they have a safe space where they will not be judged, that they know that there's compassion and support. A lot of times we're not looking, if I call you, Catherine, it's not necessarily I want you to solve my problem.
Right.
I also think in this pandemic, we've felt so isolated. We just need to be heard and seen. And
that's true.
That's kind of how I interpret like holding space and just being fully present for that person.
And I want to talk about that on the work front real quick. Oh, go ahead, Michaela. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I wanted to add one that you captured holding space beautifully. There's one, yes, very, very much. There's just one thing I would like to add to that. And holding space, especially if we're talking about being on the workforce, being on the other side of the desk, as we've been discussing today, it's also a matter of not only holding space for the people you're working with, but holding space for your own inner experiences and how they may affect your ability to work with other people and hold their space, hold space for their experiences as well. So I just wanted to throw that caveat in there of that. I think it's important to hold, and that can be difficult because we're talking about a lot of space then that we can't really see on the screen. Yeah, a lot of space that we're having to hold. But I think that it's important because once you like capture your inner experience, then your space gets bigger. Like, oh, well, this person's coming too, so your space gets bigger. And honestly, what it really is acceptance. That's what we're really talking about here. So sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. No, it's fine. That's awesome that's important. That's important.
Especially in the workplace.
Yes. And that's exactly where I wanted to tie it in, is on the other side of that desk. So we talked about this with Jan as well. First of all, listen. Listen. If you are a manager, if you are an executive, whoever you are, if you're in HR, because a lot of people will go to HR with this type of thing, just sit and listen. And then just say, how can I help? Because maybe there's nothing, and that's okay. Maybe just you listening was what they needed. Maybe there is something that work-wise you can put into place to ease that burden just a little bit and help them to get through this. I also want to take this time to advocate very, very strongly for employers, small and large, to incorporate mental health solutions. Now, if you're not a big, fat corporation, you probably can't afford to have a psychologist on staff, right? But maybe you can provide access to a phone line where they can call and just talk to somebody. Maybe you can use one of the text services, something like that, but just some kind of option for that. And also, and I like very much, I've seen this as a benefit in some smaller companies, mental health days.
Because we all have those days. Like, I mean, I remember last year I was completing yoga teacher training outside of my corporate job, and I was just feeling like just maxed, right? Because I had done training all weekend and I had worked like Monday and Tuesday. And I knew I was just, again, not my best self. And I literally went to my manager and I was like, I need a mental health day. Like, and that awareness is key too, because I knew if I kept pushing myself, that I wouldn't perform at my optimal level. My communication skills would be down. My head would be somewhere else. I was physically tired. So I just needed some time to reboot. And I would love to see, more organizations really advertise more what they offer. I do think a lot of corporations do have services to help people get into recovery. And I've listened in the room long enough to know that corporations do send employees, but also little things like when the pandemic started, I heard about a corporation like paying for the Calm app to help people do little mini meditations. And, companies don't have to spend like a gazillion dollars on some of these health initiatives. It's more about the human to human checking in, and then little things that surprise and delight your employees, that let them know that you care and that their mental well-being and focus in that area is important.
Right. 100%. And I want to say too, one of the important things that you can do as a manager is if you see someone who is putting in way too much time when they are obviously exhausted and having a lot of things going on, go to them and say, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I want you to go have a half day off. Just go, you do you, have your own space, turn off your work cell phone, do not check a single email, and just go rest. Rest. Because
so
rebooting, rebooting mentally is crucial. And I mean, Dan Irvin, we talk about him a lot of the show. You know him, Anna. And one of the things I love about him is I know, I do too. He actually puts his breaks in his calendar and his schedule. And I stole that from him. I do that. I put breaks in my calendar and specific things to do. Walk the dogs, which decompresses me and gets me moving and gets me exercising. I put, go look at the garden. I live next door to a beautiful garden, like a whole lot that's just a garden, and it's beautiful. It's like a jungle. And so I just have this beautiful lounge chair. I have this real nice lounge chair, and I just sit there and just look out at nature and just breathe.
I love it. Yeah.
And you have to do things like that. You have to decompress your brain. And you know what happens? Like, to your point, Anna, I come back and I'm rejuvenated and I have fresh ideas and my energy is up and I'm actually more productive because I took those breaks. And I love some of those apps. Michaela, what are some other apps? Or Anna, either one of you, because I don't know these apps very well. So can y'all give some suggestions for apps?
I've heard about the calming one that Anna mentioned, because a lot of my kiddos at the middle school where I work use that. There's another one that's for anxiety. I forget exactly what it's called right now. But so Anna, you may have some other ones more than I do right now.
I've kind of gotten to the point where I can do my meditation by myself. So I don't have a lot of expertise in that. But my other modalities are, just my own meditation, and then breath work, like you said, your exercise, which I call my me time, which is your meditation and exercise time. And being intentional and structuring your day with my clients, my one-on-one. I'm like, I want to see your schedule. I want to see your carpool pickup, your intentional LinkedIn time, your applying for work time, your networking, your e-learning or certifications that you're doing, and then making sure there's equanimity and balance in those functions, because we don't want to burn out. And I think it's super smart for corporate full-time employees and entrepreneurs to try to adopt those same practices so we can be
100%. And Sophie, thank you very much, by the way, for this recommendation on this app, the Headspace app. Thank you so much. That would be a great one. Also, YouTube, guys, has some great videos to lead you through a meditation, lead you through breathing, lead you through relaxation. Now, if you are like me, since we're talking about mental health, and you sometimes have you get overstimulated. So that's part of being bipolar, is sometimes you're like, you're just kind of all over the place. using grounding exercises is really helpful. This is helpful for people with anxiety. This is helpful for people who get who have bipolar disorder, and multiple other things as well. Do things that are tactile and focus on those sensations. Listen to sounds. Focus on things that are reality, as they say. So look at, like, this tree has leaves and they are green and they are big, and just kind of walk yourself through different facts, and it will actually kind of reprogram your brain. And that really, really helps. Even if you're just really stressed out, those kinds of things are very, very helpful. And I am a huge advocate of yoga, because let me tell you, physically, it has healed me from a broken hip. I healed twice as fast as any doctor thought I would. Thank you,
That's
yoga.
amazing.
And it has helped my mental health as well, to just stop, because it helps you to feel healthier, and that will obviously help you with your mindset as well.
Yeah, I mean, yoga is all about breath. You know, if you, in the styles that I practice, you know, you keep your mouth closed and you just breathe through your nose, and it heats your body from the inside out. And if you open your mouth, you're signaling to your body that you're in fight or flight. So it makes you really concentrate on your body and calming yourself to, you know, take those big belly breaths while you're doing some of those, physical activities, and then literally turning yourself upside down and doing a forward fold or a wide leg forward bend is bringing it's changing the, you know, chemistry in your brain, and like moving all that blood around, which can also reset you. And to your point about grounding, I am super big about walking barefoot on the grass.
I do too.
Just like putting my hand on a tree or something like that, just to really connect with the earth and be reminded of, you know, that my higher power and why I'm here, and just to settle in. So
I'd actually
Absolutely.
like to say real quick that for all of you listening, watching, listening, there's a very much a neuroscientific basis for everything that's being said right now. There are evidence-based studies, and I have read several of them. I have cited several of them in my own research that I'm doing with some professors.
Would you mind citing them now, if you remember any off the top of your head?
Unfortunately, I don't. They're all like different names and stuff. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
But you're right. I should have brought that. That's my bad.
That's
but
okay.
I did not be talking about it. But yes, no. But basically, what they're saying is that you can actually change the wavelengths in your brain depending on how you breathe, depending on grounding yourself. And this is a way to actually just become aware of your own internal processes. And what happens is, when you do that, when you ground yourself, when you focus on your breathing, whether you're changing it or not, even just sitting here focusing on your breath coming into your body and leaving your body, changes the changes from alpha waves to beta waves, or vice versa. I think it might be the opposite, actually, but it changes, like you said, the chemistry in your mind. So I just wanted to throw out there that there actually is a neuroscientific basis to everything you said.
100%.
I'm a huge fan of breath work. Breath work has, you know, again, I kind of started that journey in Costa Rica, and it opened up so much clarity for me.
It does. It really does. I know exactly what you mean. It does change a lot about your focus, your mentality, your health, everything. It really does make a difference. And guys, if your mind is not healthy, your body will not be healthy, and vice versa. So you really need to be taking care of yourself all the way around. So Anna, what are your kind of final thoughts for us today?
Well, I mean, tying back into my experience with addiction and acceptance, right? Accepting that, you know, I had a problem with alcohol, and that's a tough thing to say and to accept. And, you know, it can be tricky in the workplace when there's, you know, pre-COVID, lots of, you know, still drinking lunches and happy hours and social events. And, you know, the key thing is to remember that, you know, we only have one life, and we have to be willing to take radical responsibility for our life, and to kind of step over whatever people, jobs, situations, to make ourselves a priority. And those of us that
100%.
have struggled with addiction, that's a foreign concept, right? Because we've oftentimes been people pleasers or different things, but acceptance is not a bad thing. Asking for help is, the way to go. And oftentimes it just starts with a little short sentence, and whoever is holding space for you can guide you in that next direction. So, I talk about my recovery. A lot of people are more, their anonymity is more important to them, and kind of tying back into what you said, it's not our place to ask about that.
Right.
But, it's tricky. And in this space that we're in, I just want people to know that my DMs are always open, and I'm sure yours are as well, that if anyone needs a recovery BFF, I am in to support them along that journey as well.
Wonderful. And thank you so much for coming on the show today, Anna, and being genuine as you always are.
Thank you for
sharing.
me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And guys, connect with Anna on LinkedIn. We've dropped her link in the comments. She is on the screen all the time, providing wonderful information. In fact, you have a busy schedule today. So everybody get on Anna's LinkedIn.
And I'm launching my 4-week land interviews for real program. Enrollment ends next Wednesday. So if people want to level up working with recruiters, I've got all the insights to help them do that in our group program. So,
and I can vouch for her knowledge and her skills. So guys, if you do need help in that area, definitely connect with Anna. Thank you again. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Oh my goodness. I just love her. I really do. Just so much.